Lucian Carnival. Nothing sweeter than that.
Thank you. And we now shift to the discussion panel with my co-host Jade Brown.
Thank you so much, Makaira. Isn't she doing an amazing job, ladies and gentlemen? Wonderful. Madam Chair, of course, I would like to welcome you here today. You are the backbone of Lucian Carnival, of Junior Carnival as well. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to introduce once again the chairperson of the Carnival Planning and Management Committee, Mrs. Tamara Gibson, and welcome.
Good morning. Thank you.
Okay. Madam Chair, how does this new positioning help to elevate the festival beyond entertainment and into a more structured space for artistic development and national recognition?
Well, we at the CPMC, we've been very pleased with the growth of Lucian Carnival for the past 3 years. Lucian Junior Carnival has become the premier national platform for artistic expression for the youth. We have noticed the growth not only in participation, but also in attendance by young people across St. Lucia. For the past 3 years, we have focused the growth of Lucian Junior Carnival on the 4 pillars of the national festival, which are cultural preservation, sustainability, responsible enjoyment, creating a safe space for the youth to enjoy themselves, and of course cultural preservation. In 2026, we've gone one step further and created 4 pillars for the Lucian Junior Carnival. These 4 pillars are cultural development and also sustainable development, where we are ensuring that we have the youth involved in our culture so that they are ready to take it to the next step, to be the leaders, the future leaders, our future cultural leaders. So we are creating future cultural leaders. Youth empowerment. We're giving the youth a platform to express themselves, to express all their talents, and a place where they can be comfortable and know that this is a platform meant specifically for them and their growth. And finally, we have creative industry development. This is our final pillar. In this pillar, what we will see this year is an integration of the students, theatre arts students. We'll see them integrated into the planning and development of the festival. By this way, we're creating a structured program where they will participate, and in conjunction with the Ministry of Education and Events Company of St. Lucia, they will be integrated into the production and the preparation for this festival. So you will see more students like Mikaira who will be hosting some of our events. You will also find different students participating in stage management and various aspects of event production. And I think what we're also doing is creating a pipeline to ensure that we have the next generation of for our creative industry economy for St. Lucians.
Okay,
One other initiative for 2026, which I have to mention, is in collaboration with the Carnival Bands Association and again the Ministry of Education. We will be pairing at least 4 schools with costume builders to develop, create, and produce an individual costume, which will be displayed during the festival. I have to say that it is not for competition. It is a tool that we're using again to immerse them into our culture, to help them understand cultural preservation, and again to develop to develop their artistic skills in these areas.
Okay, wonderful. So, Madam Chair, could you tell us, Lucian Junior Festival is anchored by 6 hallmark events that showcase a wide range of young talent. Can you walk us through these events? Explain the role each one of them play and what people can really expect out of this year's festival.
Well, we start off the Lucian Junior Carnival Festival very strong with our National School Store. I think over the last 2 years, this has been a staple event for St. Lucians and the students across St. Lucia, and we're looking forward to it this year. What we try to do with the school store is expose the students to our culture, whether it be music, all the different genres of music that we offer in St. Lucia during the festival. We encourage them to participate and get in to perform, whether it be dances or where they have pan groups in their schools. So it's really a performance and putting the performance together for the students. This year, what we will be doing is again encouraging the theater arts students to take control. They are going to be the ones creating the stages, doing all the stage management when we visit the schools. The expectation is that we will visit 20 schools across a 2-week period. Then we will move into competition phase. In 2025, we divided the primary school and the secondary school competition into 2 separate days. So now we will host on the 3rd of June the primary schools Calypso and the soca competition. We introduced the soca competition last year, and it was very exciting for us to see how the students represented and delivered. And so, of course, Mr. Joseph Harris is putting a lot more energy into that this year to ensure that we have yet another exciting performance from the primary schools. Then on the 4th of June, we move on to the secondary schools Calypso and Soca competition. Again, another very exciting day where we give the students an opportunity to showcase their talents. On these days, again, the theater arts students will be very much so involved in the production of these events, and we will see more youth talent. MCs, etc. will be the students will be MCs for these events. We try to pair them with more experienced persons to, again, let it be a learning experience and create that pipeline for them so that they can eventually own this festival. And finally, we have the school's Panorama competition this year, which is new. So for the past 3 years, we've been having a festival. This year, the students are ready for competition, and we are excited. We have Mrs. Dubley here. She is the coordinator and preparing the various schools. We have, I think, about maybe 10 or 11 schools this year. So we are very excited for the first time to have our Panorama competition back in St. Lucia. Okay. We cannot forget that Lucian Junior Carnival ends with the Lucian Junior Carnival Parade of the Bands. And this is where all the spectacle comes together, and this will be on the 12th of July.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you so much for that, Madam Chair, for giving us that overview. And I think people are particularly excited about the competition, the panorama aspect of the festival this year. Yes. And it will really augur well in preserving the culture, as you previously mentioned. But that being said, we'd like to go on to Mrs. Barbara Dubley. You are the Pan Festival Coordinator. Welcome once again. Now, this year marks an exciting milestone with Steel Pan being introduced as a formal competition, as we've mentioned, within the Junior Carnival calendar. What inspired this development, and what should we look forward to with the inaugural Schools Panorama competition?
Good morning, and thank you again. Good morning. When, of course, we knew that years ago we used to have the Junior Panorama. After a long time, there was a lull, so there was no Junior Panorama, and those young people had no platform to show that skill that they used to have. So when CPMC came in 2024 and allowed the schools to, and it was the first time we were having the schools competition. Normally we would have the community panorama, but that was the very first time when the schools started the schools festival. So in 2024, it came. We started, and of course, we had 7 schools performed. But among the 7 schools, we had 11 schools because some of the schools were combined. Then again in 2025, we came out stronger. The bands came out stronger. There was a lot of improvement in the skills playing. We saw numbers increased in all of the bands. We saw children from 5 years up to, of course, under 18. So that was a platform where schools came out in full. This year, after the 2 years, the band leaders decided, wait, I think we have done 2 years of festival. We are ready. We will be ready for 2026. Why not go into competition? We have the Calypso competition. We have the Soca competition. Why not a still pan competition? And following the performances last year, the meetings were held and everyone was in favor. All the leaders were in favor of a competition because they thought that the players had the skills, the players were ready, they were in competition mode because they were told that very, very early. And even when we got feedback from the performances over the 2 years, I think that encouraged a lot more players to be part of the festival, part of the competition this year as well. And the leaders are very excited, waiting for this June 6th.
Okay,
yes.
Wonderful. And I think, again, it speaks to the creative development of the youth and the sustainability of the culture. I mean, coming from down the coast, you would see that the spirit of Pan is well alive in smaller communities as well. You look at canneries and they're rehearsing in the church ground. I think I Show Speed was here yesterday and we have the Pan players there with Shaki making a joke about, you know, certain things. And it's really nice to see the young people really well involved. So can you tell us a bit more about the number of schools that would be entering the competition this year?
Again, we have seen growth. We are seeing 2 new schools coming on board this year. So we have 9 groups performing, but we have about 13 schools. Again, we have combination of schools. So the schools we have: Corrin Secondary, the Leon Hess Comprehensive, St. Joseph's Convent, Micoud Combined School. Last year we had Micoud Primary and Secondary. This year we have more schools from the environs joining in. So Micoud now is Micoud Combined School. Yeah, so we have the Iris Simmons, Labrie Girls and Boys. Denry is new and they are so excited to be part of it. Viewfort again as well. Viewfort came last year with just a performance because they were not quite ready. This year we are seeing them coming full force. So we have the Viewfort Secondary School and Soufrière and Canneries coming together.
Oh, wonderful.
So we have 9 groups.
Thank you so much for that, and thank you for the insight on the Panorama this year, the schools festival this year. We are really excited for that. I know the schools are also. At this point, we'd like to move on to a man many would say needs no introduction as it pertains to Lucian Carnival, Lucian culture. Mr. Jason Batchelor Joseph, the National Schools Calypso Competition Coordinator. In keeping with fresh new ideas, the soca component was introduced to the Junior Festival slate in 2025. What are your thoughts on that edition, and what are your expectations this year?
Well, I was quite pleased that it was introduced because prior to that, a number of teachers were asking for it. So the issue I have now is there seems to be a disparity between the excitement about soca with the young people and the actual participation or interest. One would think that the younger people would gravitate towards soca. It's all about jump, wave, party, whatever. And I always had the impression that Calypso would be more challenging to write. But we have a lot more still. We have a lot more writers for Calypso, a lot more participants in the Calypso category as compared to soca. However, it has grown considerably from last year. We have, for example, about 26 primary schools that will be auditioning on Monday, and we have about 14 secondary schools auditioning. That's in the Calypso category. For soca, we have 13 secondary schools, and I think it's 8 secondary schools in the soca. So you can see the soca is still struggling. but we've come a long way from last year.
Okay.
As to why that happens, I don't know. But I always felt it's easier to write a soca song. The soca writers might disagree with me. Yes. But it's jump, wave, whine, you know. Calypso is a lot more challenging to get the story across and so on, and yet we have a lot more participants in that category.
Well, I think that says a lot about the work that has been put in place behind the scenes by yourself and other educators as well, to kind of spur that activity among the young people and pique their interest in Calypso. So well done as well.
You're correct, and apart from that, Calypso in the schools has a much longer history. I mean, it's been around for a very, very long time, so that could be another reason. We haven't oriented ourselves yet towards the soca, maybe that's why it's taken a little while to pick up.
Okay, but it's still a welcome inclusion.
Definitely, yes.
Fantastic. Now, as an educator and an advocate for the arts, how does it make you feel to see this level of growth and investment in youth talent, and what impact do you think it's having on the students?
Well, I think it is wonderful because every year, even way back in my days, there's always this talk about Calypso is dying and Calypso is dying. From my experience with the students, they love the only reason students do not participate is because there is nobody, whether it be a teacher or the school doesn't push them or support them. The students love the art form. I don't see any indication of it dying, at least in the school. So I think it's a beautiful thing that the tradition is continuing. The only thing we need to do as a step further is to make it less seasonal, and I have that issue with a lot of other things. Calypso cannot just be about a competition once a year. If you want the whole culture to develop, Calypso has to be writing a song about I Show Speed yesterday. That's what Calypso is about, and the Denry segment artists are able to do it, you know, just write songs. So the whole extempo, Calypso, making it a year-round thing, you just write and you sing, it doesn't have to be a competition. That's what we need to get going in the schools, and of course for them to eventually have their own internal shows before the main competition.
Okay, yes. Thank you so much for that. Now, back to you, Madam Chair. Let's talk about something exciting for these young people, and we're talking about prizes. There's been a notable change in how prizes are awarded. Could you explain the shift, particularly regarding students receiving prizes that have positively impacted them?
Traditionally, the monetary prizes have always been awarded to the schools. However, we felt that the students do put in quite a bit of work and effort, and they really are dedicated. So we decided to now present the participants with prizes. These prizes are not monetary. And they come from our various sponsors. Again, let me take this opportunity to thank Peter Malta, our presenting sponsor for the 3rd consecutive year. So I want to thank Ms. Jabatis for her team's dedication to the growth of this festival. And of course, we want to highlight our other sponsors, Sandals, St. Lucia, who have consistently provided support to the Lucian Junior Carnival Festival. And we also have Lucia, who is here today, and this year they have decided to increase their contribution to the festival. And it is these decisions that allow us to provide other prizes to our participants. So I want to take this opportunity to call on Corporate St. Lucia to invest in this Lucian Junior Carnival Festival. It is really for our youth and their future. So to give you some examples of prizes that the students have received, various electronics that can assist them, laptops, computers, and even things that they like now, like speakers, you name it. We really try to get as many prizes as possible for them, and it's again for them to understand that we know that they are dedicated to this, and we want to keep encouraging them.
Oh, fantastic. Now, these are some wonderful insights on the National Schools Calypso and Soca competitions. Makara, what are you most looking forward to?
Personally, I'm looking forward to the National School Soca and Calypso competition. Being last year's host, I saw those students sing their little hearts out and showing the passion and energy that I hope that will not die down. And even looking at the crowd and interacting with them, there was no division between school or status. Everybody came together as one collective to cheer for their peers. It was truly inspiring, and I wish to be back.
Okay. Makaira, after this presentation, I think you'll most definitely be back.
Thank you.
Wonderful, Makaira. I do know that we have some insights about last year's festival once again. So let's go to that. Let's take a look at that and give the public, the viewing public, and the students who are watching as well, those who could not make it, we want to show you what it was all about.
Earthquake, CSS massive, soca earthquake. This is a earthquake, a soca earthquake. Let's go, we coming to cause a soca earthquake. Everything in there we shelling down. Better brace yourself and make no mistake. This one ain't ordinary song, so tell them when we reach. This year we gonna make a mess in here. Test the PMC when we reach inside the hair. People start to run everywhere. Oh Lord, the whole place start to shake like it's a earthquake. This is a soca earthquake. Everybody jump and make the ground shake. Nobody cannot escape. We getting on mad in there. Hold on to something. Hold on to something. Hold on to something. Let we shake down the party. Hold on to something. Hold on to something. Hold on to something. Let we shake down.
Ranking, how you mean? Ready there? Hey that. You still wanna step in it? I just want a vibe to feel. See man hate them, but from time we hit Maris Hill, what we tell them? Oh yo yo, party go get destroyed. Fretting with so much joy, partying like I unemployed. Oh yo yo, party go get destroyed. I come out here to get miserable. Boy, boy, boy. I come out here to get miserable. I feeling to just become something and put it over me, put it over me, put it over me. I feel to pick up something.
Thanks, Ms. Dubule and Mr. Joseph. We now introduce Ms. Kentilia Louis, Theatre Arts Curriculum Officer, CAMDU, and Honorable Ernest Hilaire, Minister for Tourism, Commerce, Investment, Creative Industries, Culture and Heritage.
Thank you, Makaira, once again. Now, we'll commence this segment with Ms. Kentilia Louis, such a familiar face and so passionate about the arts. Welcome today. We have seen the introduction of theatre arts as a relatively new subject at the CSEC level. How has this impacted in education reform in St. Lucia?
So, the CXC program has been around for almost 50 years. And theatre arts started off in 2001, and in St. Lucia, our first students completed the exam in 2011. Yes. And I have to say, in terms of giving our students opportunities to really explore their creative sides, have opportunities to be engaged in our culture, theatre arts has helped us at all levels because, yes, the CSEC is, of course, a secondary school program, but we also have it at the primary school level. And now we are starting off at early childhood. And when we talk about the results of it, I am smiling widely because your co-MC is a theatre arts student. So there we see how it has helped her, like other students, with their confidence, with the ability to be able to be innovative and creative on the spots and really ground them in what it means to be St. Lucian.
Wonderful, wonderful. Now, an important part of youth empowerment is giving students practical exposure to careers in the creative industries. We've already seen young people thrive on various platforms, and we've mentioned Macaira, and we're looking forward to seeing so many more. This year, you're also working with the CPMC to formalize the program, with students being graded as part of their SBAs. How do you think this will impact the industry?
Well, first of all, we have to remember that Carnival is also known as total theatre. It has all the elements. And when we think of Carnival as a cultural form, it is one of our identifying cultural forms. Think about it. Caribbean people have colonized the world through Carnival. And so, as a result of that, it's important that we allow the students to be able to have opportunities to experience the practical elements in all the different areas. And I should say theatre arts includes costuming, sound, lights, stage management, production management, as well as dance and drama. And as I mentioned all of those, and you think of Carnival, it's all included. So the aim is really and truly to prepare the students not to sit an exam, but to become practitioners. And we understand that they learn best from those who have the knowledge bearers. So the syllabus is designed in a way for them to interact in real situations. And this is what the festival allows, and I'm very, very happy and excited. I had so many ideas. I'm sure Madam Chair can tell you that. I came, I said, what about this and this? And she's like, okay, yes, we'll start like this year, we'll increase. So I am quite excited as to how this year will turn out.
Okay, that is amazing. And I love that comment that you made. The Caribbean has colonized the world through Carnival. That's that. Yes, indeed. Madam Chair, with this repositioning of the festival, we're seeing greater integration being given to the school's tour, starting with the school's tour. Could you elaborate on how this initiative fits into the broader strategy and what outcomes you hope to achieve, particularly in terms of youth engagement and cultural continuity?
Well, we're all excited about the National Schools Tour. I think for this year, with this new integration, we really hope to develop the skills of the students. I think that is the aim, to develop the skills of the students, to expose them to on-job training, industry training as to what it is to expect when they are placed in the fields, and to use those skills that they have learned in the classroom. I think for us that is our aim, that is what we want at the end of the school tour, that the students can get grade 1s on the SBAs, because it is going to be used as a teaching tool, and it will be graded as part of the SBA. So we really want them to learn, to understand, and create that pipeline. So in the next 10 years, these students will be the new stage managers, the new sound engineers, the new dramatists on stage during productions. That is the aim.
Okay, fantastic. Now we bring it home to our Creative Industries and Tourism Minister, the Honorable Ernest Hilaire. Thank you for being here today, Minister.
Thank you very much. Good morning.
Good morning. Now, in recent years, we've seen a shift in what we traditionally know as Lucian Carnival, with a reimagined focus on the 4 key pillars: sustainability, inclusivity, cultural preservation, and responsible enjoyment. Minister, how does this development of the Junior Festival support and strengthen the overall product?
Yeah. Well, thank you very much, and let me say good morning to everyone. The direct answer to your question really is to just look at the 4 pillars. If you're going to speak about cultural preservation, you literally have to start with the younger generation. And like the tagline says, it's more than a festival, it's a movement, for the future. So we actually ensuring that there is a future for Lucian Carnival, and for us to do so, we have to propagate the Junior Carnival. We have to give it the support, the strength, so that it can carry on the traditions that we have within our carnival, the making of costumes, the Calypso, the soca, and St. Lucia Carnival. You know, each island in a sense has its carnival and it boasts of its own unique propositions. And in St. Lucia, we have to define and evolve ours all the time. And our carnival is not just about coming out on the street in a traditional form. We try to have multiple creative expressions in our carnival. And I was really pleased last year, the number of persons we have from Martinique and Guadeloupe that added a new dimension, and they're even going to look even more this year. In fact, so much so they've even written the Prime Minister asking for more support to make sure they can come. And I'm making that point because when one speaks about the Junior Carnival, we must understand from very early we must introduce those elements within it. It's not all about, you know, what we see as the party side of it. So the Junior Carnival gives us an opportunity for us to directly ensure there is cultural preservation. And you can see from Madam Chair and, you know, the comments just made that we are looking to bring in those elements. A very powerful point was made by the Madam Chair about, you know, it falls under one of the pillars in terms of creative industry development, one of the 4 pillars of Junior Carnival. The next generation of costume builders, the next generation of songwriters, arrangers. I mean, Jason is doing a fantastic job, and he's producing a whole generation of Calypsonians. The techniques in songwriting, which is really critical, and some of us criticize whether or not we have enough songwriters in St. Lucia. So out of the Junior Carnival, we have an opportunity for us to develop that aspect of the carnival, to train the next generation of lyricists in terms of how do you structure. Although these days with AI, you know, people just compose songs now with AI. But the point is we can train them. Song engineers, St. Lucia needs song engineers. We have so many more events taking place, community jazz events all over the place. We have carnivals, community carnival events all over the place. Who are the song engineers that can really produce the quality of song that we want? It will come out of the Junior Carnival, and we must be deliberate in ensuring that we create those pathways. So the Junior Carnival, again, can provide the pathways for persons who want to be in event management, event planning, costume building, we talk about song engineers, and even beyond the stage, you know, the cosmetologists, you know, the people involved in all those other ancillary services that go with the festival. Because sometimes we're thinking direct and not the indirect associations that take place. There are event-specific suppliers, you know, and we build an industry around it. So, I mean, the Junior Carnival is a very powerful avenue for us to build and support Lucian Carnival. Again, we have to constantly search and define what is Lucian Carnival. We have to be able. It's still evolving, and it's evolving into a very good place. We can see multiple elements coming together, and that generation is a generation that will carry it through for us. And again, it's important that we make this a success. And we also have to pay attention to the persons who are really putting it together, the band leaders. And let me tell you, it's certainly not easy for them, and it's an opportunity again to give them the support so they can make sure that there's another generation of band leaders. They started off with the Junior Carnival band, they worked with the present leaders, and they evolve into the bigger bands, and they move on and on.
Okay, fantastic. Now, it's interesting that you spoke about all of these other careers that are affiliated to our Carnival product. And if one would look at, we have a show called Economic Pulse with the CPMC, produced by the CPMC. Young people especially, it is important to look at these programs and just learn about the various aspects of Lucian Carnival. And in so many ways, so many different parts of various industries are impacted by Carnival. It is so far-reaching. One of the pillars for the Junior Festival is youth empowerment. How do you see, or can you share how culture is being used as a tool to empower the young people? I know you touched on it, but can we delve deeper?
Yeah, I mean, when one speaks of empowerment generally, you're talking about providing people with the capacity for them to be sustainable, whether it's livelihood, whether it is cultural expression in this case, and it's really important. And one of the pillars, the 4 pillars, was about responsible enjoyment of Carnival, and that's fundamental to what we're going to do when it comes to youth empowerment. Our young people must not see the festival and see Carnival as an opportunity for rowdy behavior, licentious behavior, for them to drink as much as you can, get drunk, misbehave, or behave irresponsibly. That's not what Carnival is about. Carnival is a creative expression. Of course, associated with it is drinks, and music, and people enjoy themselves, but do not see it as an opportunity for one to be irresponsible. It's not that. It's creative expression. So the CPMC had done some time ago in terms of drinking and having water stations to say to individuals, drink more water on the day, drink less sugary drinks, of course for healthy lifestyles. All those are important. We must not let up on those things. And also telling persons about how they behave on the day. Because I've been, the question has been raised with me so many times about the Bam Bam Wall and what it means and what it is and what it probably represents. And, I've had to defend it. But in a sense, it's an individual choice. But we have to say to individuals how to enjoy the festival, to see it first and foremost as creative expression. And therefore, when we speak about youth empowerment, it's really about saying to young people, this is a cultural festival. This is something that one can use to express one's creative skills, whether it's songwriting, designing costumes. The chair spoke about the 4 schools we will work with to do the costume. This is a very powerful initiative because we're now showing, even at the schools, they can already design the King and Queen costumes. And I hope we get a chance to show it on the night, King and Queen of the Band's night, to say to young people, we're creating avenues. Now, you might say, how does designing a costume help somebody in terms of empowerment or growth? You see, when we start stimulating the mind and causing our young people to think creatively and critically, it really opens back doors and spaces in your own thinking, how you approach life and how you aspire to achieve things in your life. And that's what creative expression does. I mean, that's why you teach young people music and theater and whatnot. And it's for them to be able to nurture and nourish their thinking. So, all of that's important. Youth empowerment, teaching our young people that there are careers, teaching them the creative thinking and the creative spaces that they can enter for their personal development, telling them about how to conduct and manage themselves in spaces where there are temptations to do a lot of things, but knowing what you're about and what this is about for you. So I think in many, many ways, Carnival is a very powerful opportunity, and the use of culture to empower young people so they can shape and design their lives in a way which is sustainable and can really make them successful in life.
Thank you for that insight, Minister. Now, one other thing we really wanted to touch on was the fact that this year we have a new initiative in keeping with our sustainability pillar. Under the Junior Festival, we have Lucian Junior Carnival MVPs. This is a group of young people who are notable, and they are notable social media influencers who will help to promote the festival in their own unique ways. So we're using their platforms, we're going to them and giving them that opportunity to be creative and to use their space to promote our Carnival product, which of course will
career.
Yes,
I mean, we saw what happened yesterday. Yes. You know how much money those guys make for streaming. I mean, there's a career in that as well.
And I see some people here today, some of you here today. I know that they are really, really going to use this as a launch pad as well, and we're going to see a lot of interesting work and content coming out from them for Lucian Carnival. So it's really nice to see the inclusion of all factions of society, whether it be through Pan, through Soca, Calypso, and of course theater as well. Cantilia, thank you guys.
Thank you all for being part of the discussion today. Remember, the National Schools Tour commences on Monday, May 18th to Monday, May 29th. On Wednesday, June 3rd and Friday, June 5th, we have the National School Calypso and SOA competition starting at 10 a.m. And on Saturday, June 6th, we have the school's Panorama competition from 2 p.m. And then the junior parade of the bands scheduled for Sunday, July 12th in the city of Castries from 10 a.m. Tickets for all junior festival events are set at 10 EC for children and 20 for adults. We encourage you to come to support our children and to be part of Junior Festival 2026. We must say thank you to the sponsors who have committed to it, Lucian and Sandals.
Also, we want to say a big thank you to our title sponsor, Peter Malta. We also want to say a big thank you to Sandals again, and to all of you who came to this launch here today. I think that we're seeing exciting things happening for Lucian Junior Carnival. Again, we'd like to say a big thank you to the Honorable Ernest Hilaire. We'd like to say a very special thank you to all her hard work as well. Mrs. Tamara Gibson, the chairperson of the Carnival Planning and Management Committee. Mr. Jason Joseph, thank you. Mrs. Barbara Duboulet, and of course, Ms. Kentilia Louis. Thank you guys so much for joining us today. With this, we come to the end of our live segment. Of course, we will have a question and answer for the media who will present today afterwards. But to those of you in TV land and those of you at home and to the children watching as well, this starts the beginning of an exciting junior carnival season. So yes, let the festivities begin.
Ranking, how you mean? Ready there? Hey that. You still wanna step in it? I just want a vibe to feel. See man hate them, but from time we hit Morris Hill,